What up? What's up, guys? It's DC with my boy Ben for another episode of Funky and the Champ. Ben, you look kind of wet, sweaty. You fresh off the heels. Dog, you fresh off the heels of getting beat last night by Izzy Style. How in the world do you show up without Sinclair or Mulvaney? You don't go to the gunfight carrying a knife, bruh. How do you show up without your best guys?
That wasn't the point. The point of the duel is to get kids good equal matchups. So we didn't even do weight classes. We just put 22 matches together and we wrestled.
But you got beat. You got beat by Izzy. Izzy, sure. Good job, my guy. You still sweating from last night. You've been running and working out ever since. Izzy put it on.
No, I was working outside and you're like, hey, we got to do a podcast in 30 minutes. I'm like, okay, I guess I got to stop working and I got to go shower.
What were you doing?
I was cleaning up some old chain link fence. I was planting some grass. I was mowing. I got all kinds of stuff. I got 10 acres here.
You do all that?
Yes.
Hey, there you go, Ben.
Chainsaw.
Now I understand why Amy was able to let you get away with the shit you pulled before and stay with you, because I thought you was out on your ass after your disrespectful shit. The disrespectful shit you be pulling. I'm surprised she stayed with you, but if you're hardworking like that, I get it.
Gracious.
I get it. Ben, so generally we do these whenever you and I will be texting about something, and then the subject comes up, and you feel strongly about it. Yesterday, Francis Ngannou was the news. He signs a contract with PFL. He is free of the UFC. UFC doubles back with what might be one of the greatest pay-per-view cards of the year on the same day. Dana White announces the return of the BMF title between two dudes that are legitimately as BMF as they come, in Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier. But before we get to the BMF title and UFC 291, you are a little bit peeved with your boy Jon Jones, your great friend Jon Jones, because Jon Jones was away for a while. Didn't fight for 3 years, comes back, becomes the champion, but then has something to say about Francis Ngannou when Francis leaves the UFC and says to Francis, how you going to talk from across the street? You can't call yourself the baddest man on the planet anymore. What changed, Ben? What changed? Why is Jon allowed now to talk about Francis, and Francis got to hold his tongue?
To me, it was simple. Why I thought, wow, this is really weird and almost hypocritical is Jon chose to be inactive for 3 years. He chose not to fight. I don't care. I don't care what Jon does. Right?
He was putting weight on. He was putting weight on, Ben.
Whatever. He chose not to fight. 3 years. 3 years. Choose not to fight. Francis is in the UFC pretty much the entirety of that 3 years. And we've seen other people go up weight classes, right? Stylebender did it and lost to Jan and went back to 185. So we've seen other people do it. And so he had plenty of opportunity to fight Francis Ngannou. So now Francis Ngannou wants to say, I'm the best man on the planet. I think he should be able to. Now, can Jon argue he is also? Sure. But Jon can't say, you can't do it because Jon didn't fight him for 3 years.
Wait, Ben, here's the thing, though.
What?
How do you determine who's the baddest man on the planet? You
would think it's impossible.
But what you would think is the baddest man on the planet is the heavyweight champion in the biggest organization.
Yeah.
Right? That's Jon Jones.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, Jon has a good argument with it, but Francis went out winning 6 in a row. So he beat Curtis Blades, Kane, JDS, Rosenstrike, Miocic, and Gane, his last 6 fights in the UFC, of which Jon was able to be fighting during that time. He chose not to. He chose not to be active. That's his choice. I don't care, right? But Jon could have at any point, I think his last fight was February of 2020. At any point during the next 2.5 to 3 years, he could have said, Francis, I want a piece of you. You're in the UFC. I'm in the UFC. Let's do it right now. And he chose not to. So now Francis leaves as the champion, winning 6 in a row. I think he can claim that title.
Does he still? But does Francis leaving as the heavyweight champion, does it diminish Jon's accomplishments? Being that Jon's the champ now, but he beat the guy that Francis beat, but he did do it, Ben, much faster and much more impressively.
Yeah, so I think, listen, I think Jon can say, I'm the guy also. I don't see a problem with that. but he can't say, "Hey, dummy, you're clearly not the guy." That's what he can't say. He can
Why?
say, "I'm
Because
the
it's
baddest
unproven.
guy."
It's unproven.
Until it's proven. Jon might be right. Jon might be the baddest dude for sure. He could beat Francis, but who knows? Francis could maybe win too. And Francis was active 6 fights in a row. So from that time when Jon had his last fight, I think Francis had four fights, maybe something like that. So it's like they could have fought at any point in time. Jon chose to be inactive, and then so we don't get to see it now.
Who do you think would have won that fight, man? If you had to pick Francis Ngannou versus Jon Jones, who do you think was going to win that fight, especially knowing that we saw Francis wrestling Cyril Gane? Hey, bro, what about when Francis started wrestling Cyril Gane? How crazy was that when he started wrestling? Were you as surprised as me? Because I was on the broadcast and I go, oh my God, he knows how to wrestle now. Because it was always like, you wrestle him like Stipe did.
Yeah.
But once he started taking Gane down, I was like, oh my God, this guy can actually wrestle now. He's a real problem. But then when you look at Jon Jones, you have a guy that's so well-rounded that he could essentially do what Francis did to Cyril. Obviously, he did it better. And whatever he did to all the other guys, you would favor Jones against all those guys too, wouldn't you? So when you look at those two, and they're fighting for the baddest man on the planet, who would you have given the advantage to? Because now it's all hypothetical. And that was always the issue with boxing. It's like, can this guy beat this guy? Can this guy beat this guy? And they're all living in the same world, but they're separated from each other, so it never happens.
Yeah.
We had it. We almost were there with a legit super fight. If it happened, though, since we're back in the world of make-believe, who would you have chosen?
I would choose Jon. I think Jon likely is the best guy. But so my point of contention is Jon was inactive while Francis was in the UFC and the champion. And Jon could have said, let's fight because I want to prove I am, without the shadow of a doubt, the baddest dude. And it didn't happen. So now Francis gets to leave. They never fought. And if he wants to say it for a little while, he can say it. I'm not mad at him.
It has to be unproven, right? Like somebody's got to beat Francis or something. But is there anyone out in the world to beat Francis Ngannou in mixed martial arts? I mean, I know that there are landmines in some of these organizations, right? Like you've competed in a few of them, Bellator and won. There are very tough guys. But do you foresee anyone really being able to challenge Ngannou? And for as big as the contract is, Francis is going to be on pay-per-view. Do you think he moves the needle enough to make it to where it's like, wow, Francis made the greatest deal ever?
Yeah. I mean, until we actually see the contract, I'm not sure I believe every single thing. Like, there was that one stipulation that his opponent gets paid $2 million. Like, I don't know if I believe it till I see the check or the tax return. I'm not so sure on that one, For real.
Everybody wants to fight him too. Big Ben Rothwell's like, yo, we got a year to build this thing, Francis. Like, can we fight each other? Like, $2 million? Those guys don't make that type of money, ever.
Man, hardly some of those heavyweights are probably making 20, 30. I mean, probably something like that in the PFL. PFL does seem to be making a lot of moves. I heard rumors. I don't know about you, Daniel. People get mad at me for saying rumors sometimes. Guys, this is a rumor. I cannot substantiate this. I heard PFL's buying Bellator. That's what I heard.
What?
That's what I heard.
No, Ben.
That's a rumor. That is not a fact. I cannot substantiate that.
Wait. So Bellator is on the market, is what you're telling me. Ben Askren is telling me.
I've been told.
Because you're actually pretty good at rumors. I will say this. You might be less of a guy that spreads rumors, more of an insider. Can I tell you something?
I
heard something very similar.
Oh, really? Interesting.
I heard something very similar too. So it's not like this is not. Maybe it's not as sure, but hell, hey, what if the UFC buys Bellator like they did Strikeforce?
I think it's within the realm of possibilities.
If this becomes real, like if this becomes public knowledge, then what if the UFC gets involved in purchasing the assets that were? I don't know, man. That's crazy. But Ben, you said it. I didn't. I will say that I have heard it too. I just wasn't going to be the one that went out on the limb and said it publicly. But you are the insider. I go to you for the news, even though you would be as disconnected as anyone. Guys.
Yeah. Wait, so hold on. So Francis, I don't think anyone can beat him outside the UFC right now. I don't think, but he is going to get older. He is going to age. So at some point.
But Jones is older too. It's not like Jones is. I mean, Jones has got to be 35, 36 years old at this point, right? No?
Yeah.
I mean, because when we fought, I was in my mid-30s. He was like 26. So he's like 7 years younger than me. Jones got to be almost 36, 37 years old. So he's going to get old and he's going to age. And if you watch him in the last fight, he was a little bit slower, right? Like I said that and everybody was mad at me like, you're jealous. But the left hand he threw against Cyril Gane was not with the speed that I would recognize the strikes were coming in my direction. Because even though he wasn't super fast when we were fighting, he was fast enough to get to me because I was fast in my defenses. And I'm looking now, Jon Jones is 35 years old. I mean, Jon Jones was 9 years younger.
Same day. I'm July 18, he's July 19.
Really? Well,
you know, Max beat Jon Jones for third place at the high school nationals.
Who, Max did?
Yeah.
Jon Jones? Hey, Jon Jones was actually a decent wrestler. Good. Like, he wasn't like a terrible wrestler like we make him out to be. Guys,
no, he was good. He was going to Iowa State before he decided to fight.
Well, he was going to Iowa State after winning the junior college nationals.
Yes.
And then he decided to fight. Guys, before we move forward, today's video is brought to you by the Game Time app. The Game Time app is the leader in last-minute ticket purchases. So regardless of what you're trying to do, the NBA playoffs are fire right now. If you watch the Lakers and the Nuggets last night, then we got the Eastern Conference Finals, the Celtics versus the Miami Heat. The Game Time app has tickets to that at discounted prices. So all those last-minute ticket purchases you can get through the Game Time app. Basketball, football, UFC, concerts, comedy shows, it does not matter. Use the Game Time app to save money and attend some of your favorite events. No matter where you are, do something fun tonight. Use the Game Time app. Type in the promo code DCTV and we'll give you $20 off of your first purchase. So once again, download the Game Time app. Use promo code DCTV for $20 off of your first purchase. Now, Ben, yesterday, Francis was all the news in the morning. By the end of the day, all anyone's talking about is UFC 291. Salt Lake City gets a massive card because they are not only getting a fight between two of the most exciting guys in the world, they're getting it for the BMF title, right? The BMF title
from George Masvidal. They went to his house. Someone stole the BMF belt. What? But seriously, how are they going to take George's belt? He retired. They said, give us that stuff back.
They didn't take it. He retired, so it comes back up for grab. How excited are you for this particular matchup? We've seen it before, but these guys today are so much better. Gaethje and Poirier are two of the best lightweights in the world, two exciting guys fighting for that championship.
Yeah. It's going to be an exciting fight. Man, Gaethje has gotten more and more disciplined and less reckless as he's gotten older. And I think that could play a part in this fight. But either way, it's going to be knockdown, drag out. We're going to have a lot of fun. Let
me give you the rest of the fight card. You get Jan Blachowicz welcoming Alex Pereira to the light heavyweight division. I thought that Alex was going to fight Izzy again because I thought it was possible. But now it seems as though he's getting a fight that actually does work for him because Jan Blachowicz is willing to stand with you. He did it with Izzy for 3.5 rounds. Then you get Paulo Costa coming back to fight against Alaskarov. Dude, this dude Alaskarov just made his UFC debut off the Contender Series. He looks so good that he's getting thrown right into the fire. This kid is going to go from unranked to in the top 7 if he can beat Paulo Costa. Go ahead.
Who doesn't Dana like here? Because Dana don't like someone to make this fight. Because this kid's only had one UFC fight. That's it. And he looked good against Phil Hawes.
He's good, man. He's good, Ben.
So either Dana's feed him to the Wolves in Costa, or Dana's trying to feed Costa to the Wolves in this guy. One of the two.
You know, Costa is a guy that's a bit eccentric. Remember, he drank a whole bunch of wine before he fought Israel Adesanya the night before, right? So he's a little bit eccentric. So, but I think this is more about the kid just being that good. Because even if you talk to Hamzat was like, this is the toughest fight I've ever had.
Hamzat knocked him out.
Yeah, but this dude, he fought him very difficult, very tough, very early in both of their careers. And then you got the return of Tony Ferguson. He's taking on Bobby Green, another fun fight. And then you got Michael Chiesa taking on Kevin Holland. This is a monster of a pay-per-view card.
Oh, yeah.
And it's headlined by a fight between two of the most exciting guys in the world. And if I know Justin Gaethje and I know Dustin Poirier, it is going to be nuts. The last time we were in Salt Lake City, Ben, Kamaru Usman lost his championship.
Oh, yeah.
This arena was on fire from the moment they opened the doors. It wasn't main card, people start to flood in. It was doors open, full. The fans in Salt Lake, tremendous, bro. And I cannot wait to watch that event, UFC 291, which is a monster. Rank the fights. Don't do Gaethje in them. What's the fight that you're most excited about on that card?
Yeah,
outside of Gaethje,
one that you forgot one that's gonna be good, which is Thompson Pereira. That's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yes.
But I guess I'm excited to see if Alex Pereira can beat up Jan Blachowicz. Jan, man, I really feel like after Jan, what he did to Izzy, he's just gonna take him down. Like, why wouldn't you try to take him down?
Not?
Why not?
Why not? Because he's too dangerous. Pereira's too dangerous. He's too dangerous to try to stand with. It's gonna be a night. It's gonna be a night. Hey, Ben.
Yes.
Another great episode, bro. I love. Dude, no wonder George Masvidal can't stand you, because you say shit like that.
We just solved the crime. We solved the crime. Someone was trying to steal his BMF belt.
You guys are gonna be lifetime enemies because of the shit you say the moment you get a microphone in your face. Guys, thank you again for joining us. I'm Daniel Cormier. That's my guy, Funky Ben Askren. Until next time, tell your friend to tell your friend that DC's got a YouTube channel. He's doing stuff like this with his friends. All right? Peace.